Hello everyone, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Today we'll be speaking to Carol Jin. Now, Carol was born in Shanghai, China. She's worked in the music industry for over 7 years now, and you can definitely tell it's very, very passionate about this career that she's chosen. She graduated from the Shanghai Conservatory of Music, majoring in arts management. And she's done a couple of internships, including the National Arts Centre in Canada and the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Shanghai. And she was also a part-time stagehand at the MAO Livehouse in Shanghai. Now, after graduation, she joined Live Nation, the biggest live entertainment company in the world, for 3 years in events operation. She assisted organising concerts for artists such as Charlie Puth, Mariah Carey, and Bruno Mars. Now, last year, she was the tour manager for two of the biggest up-and-coming bands from Taiwan, KST and Fool and Idiot. And she went on a massive tour, 42 shows in 5 months. But before we go, please go to our website. We're at Podbean. Tell Craig Your Story at podbean.com. We have a link tree there which tells you where Tell Craig Your Story podcast is streaming. We are on all the major streaming services. We have a YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribing to get all the latest updates. And we have VK for our Russian listeners and WeChat for our Chinese listeners. Now, we've also launched onto a Chinese platform called Little Red Book. And it's available to be streamed without a VPN. And a lot of the Chinese listeners have been waiting for this moment. And all the links are on the WeChat page. But now here's a word from our sponsor, Will's Tailor Shop.
华生丝材是周先生一手创立的私人定制高端品牌，品牌坚持匠人精神，每一件单品都一针一线，精益求精，在全球甄选优质面料，全手工制作高品质的高定男装与配饰。品牌创立灵感源于经典身装，注入全新风格与理念，营造灵动有型的优雅男士绅士形象。华生丝材拥有6家门店，上海3家店，苏州2家店，泰兴1家店，旗舰店位于上海徐汇区湖南路343号，毗邻淮海路。
Thank you very much for that, Hannah. And to get your discount from Will's Tailor Shop, all you have to do is become a friend in the Tell Craig Your Story WeChat group, and you'll be able to get your free gift voucher from Will's Tailor Shop. All right, here we go. This is my chat with Carol Jin on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Hi Carol, how are you doing today?
Very good. Hi, Craig.
How has everything been going? You said you were moving to Beijing, but now you're back in Shanghai.
Yes.
So tell us about what's been happening this year so far for you.
So in this January, I'm moving back to Shanghai from Beijing. So last year I've spent 3 months in Beijing because I'm being on a band, Taiwanese band called Fool and Idiot as a tour manager. After I finished work, so just moved back to Shanghai since I'm Shanghainese, you know. So I'm celebrating Spring Festival with my family, which is really nice.
Very important to all
Yes.
Chinese people, right?
Yeah, of course.
What do you do with Chinese New Year? Do you go away? Do you stay at home? Do you eat lots of food?
Actually, that's kind of sad for me because, you know, at least in my family, there are not that many celebrations anymore due to like COVID. So everyone is staying in their own family. We don't have this big reunion anymore. And when I was young, you can, like, the whole big family will be together in my grandpa's home.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, all my relatives, like, including my dad, they are doing their favorite dishes. And, like, we as kids just having fun with my cousins. So it's always fun for me. But now I just think it's hard for me to meet my family during Spring Festival.
Yeah.
And just like a very small family watching TV together. And then, yeah, it's Spring Festival, it's New Year. Okay, that's not literally the celebration for me. But I think I'll just accept it. And then, you know, just go to the shopping malls because there are more people there.
Yeah.
It made me feel like, okay, there are still many people in Shanghai and still celebrations.
Yeah.
But in home, I can't really feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. And what was the experience like living in Beijing?
So I've only stayed there for 3 months, and like 1 month and a half I'm away from the tour,
touring.
you know, so I didn't like spend a lot of time there, but for me, first of all, it's freezing, like it's really freezing out there, because, you know, like I stay there in winter.
Right.
So like it's so cold outside that we didn't really want to go out for dinner, and we just want to stay at our home because it's warm.
Yeah.
And also, as a Shanghainese, I have to say Beijing is so big. You know, like when you want to go to one place to the other, it'll take at least like 20 minutes for me. And the traffic is not always that good. So, you know, the traffic jams, you have to accept it, get used to it. But people are nice.
Yeah.
People are more straightforward. And they are more interested in culture and art, I guess. So, and that's the reason why the art industry or the culture industry is more developed in Beijing. And there are more artists there.
Right.
Yeah.
So are people from Shanghai going to Beijing if they want to have a music career, or is it still good enough here in Shanghai?
I haven't met a lot of musicians from Shanghai in Beijing. Like mostly these musicians that are from the north part of China, because like Beijing is like the center of the north part.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think if you want to pursue a music career, Beijing is a very good place, because there are many big labels there in Beijing, so I think it's good for a career, of course.
Yeah. And so did you get a chance to go and explore Beijing, or was it just pretty much just moving there to work?
The big reason for me to move to Beijing is my work, because the band, they're based in Beijing, but also it's like I want to explore more parts of China, because like I spend most of my time in Shanghai, and I don't really know the other cities. Like, I mean, I'm the visitor, but I'm not like really stay there. Yeah. So I think, okay, it's a very good opportunity for me to explore our capital. So I did go to do some sightseeing and, you know, try the local food, doing all the visitors things.
Beijing duck.
Yeah, Beijing, of course, you gotta try this.
Yeah.
And also, you know, there are some friends from Shanghai came to Beijing to find me, you know. So I'm kind of like the tour guide to show them around. So it's a good opportunity for me to know more about Beijing, you know, where to show people, what's the interesting places, where are the good bars, pubs, clubs, you know.
Excellent. And you were saying before that you wanted to not only explore Beijing, have you what other cities have you been to in China?
Since I've been working as a tour manager, I've been to many places, cities in China, but not literally living there.
Oh, yeah. Or and sort of getting a time to sort of see the city, right? You just sort of on the tour.
Yeah, with a very tight schedule. Yeah, so Shanghai is the only city that I've lived in China.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of visiting places in China, we both met when we were on holidays, right?
Yeah.
So I went down to Dali with a couple of friends from work, and we just sort of met up at the same place. We were staying at the same place, and we went to dinner.
Yeah, I think we lived in the same hostel.
Same
hostel in Dali. Yeah, actually, I forgot I live in Dali. Sorry, only 2 months.
Yeah, it was like a guest house, and they just said, "Hey, who wants to go for dinner? We're going now." Yeah. And all these people just sort of turned up. And I remember one of your friends saying, "Oh, yeah, that girl works for Live Nation." And I was like, "Wait, what?" My ears are sort of like pricked up, and it's like, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I think you have some very interesting stories. So that was very good. So what did you think of Dali? Tell us.
Oh, I love Dali.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite place in China.
Why?
You know, the reason why I decided to go to Dali is because I quit my full-time job in Live Nation last June. Because I think, okay, I've been keeping working for 3 years and I want to take a long break.
Right.
Just, to go back to a more peaceful life and have a clear mind. When you keep working and working, you always have a very busy mind.
Yeah.
Especially you're in Shanghai, hustle and bustle, everything. So Dali is always a place I want to live, not only visit, but living there. And I've never been to Dali before, so it's my first time there. Wow. So it's kind of like a brave decision for me. Go to a place I don't really know and just stay there for 2 months. Yeah. And I'm glad that I did made this decision because I think it's one of my best decisions ever.
Yeah.
I think people there are very, very nice. You can see the smiles on their face.
Yeah.
You just want to talk to them, have all these chit chats. How are you? How have you been today? And they will always reply to you with their most sincere answers.
Yeah.
And also, I've met so many friends there, including you, and we share very different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And that's something like very magical about Dali. You'll never meet these people in the city, or you'll never be friends.
Yes.
Like for example, maybe in Shanghai we won't be friends because it's hard for us to meet each other.
Yeah.
But in Dali, just a dinner date, then bring all of us together. Very different. Like also, I think all these friends, they tell me different things.
Yeah.
Because we are having very different ideas. They are very open-minded and they are not afraid to explore different things. So I think I've learned a lot from them. The courage they have, the wisdom they have, it all inspired me a lot. Yeah. And also there are many different, very interesting events going on in Dali.
Yes.
Like the meditation class, yoga class, of course, doing all the vegan foods. I think although these courses or activities, they have the same thing in Shanghai, but the vibe is very different. In Dali, people are more down to earth, and they are more willing to share their knowledge, and they are more willing to help you.
Yes.
If you are confused, if you are not feeling well, they actually care about you.
Yeah.
So my 2 months stay in Dali, I met a lot of friends. Yes, and do the things that I won't do in Shanghai. And when I went back to work, I feel like I've grown.
Yes.
I've learned, and this helped me to grow to be a more open-minded person.
Yes. Do you think that? Because we met a couple of girls down there that are also doing the same thing, and we actually had one of the girls on the podcast, and she was a great example coming from a village sort of town, and a mum and dad wanted to get married and have children and look after the farm, but she's like, no, I want to get out, I want to travel, and
that's
and
not her life.
Yeah, so she's like going to all these different places and just like getting all information and just learning about life that way, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Speaking of that, we were just talking about it before, talking about COVID and how all of a sudden Shanghai has just come back with all these cases. So tell us about you. Where were you when it first happened here in China? And how did it affect your work, your lifestyle, and how did you adapt to it?
Yeah, I remember because, the COVID starts at 2020.
Yes.
And at the time, I was in Vietnam for the Christmas break because Live Nation has this traditional Christmas break for all the employees for 2 weeks, so you can go to wherever you want. So I remember I was in Vietnam and my friend texted me that, do you know, there is a very strange, virus in China? I was like, it's not going to be a big deal, because
that is true, but
right?
Nobody knew anything about it,
And the guy told me that you need to buy as many masks as you can. I was like, seriously? But I think, it doesn't hurt, so I'm just going to buy some masks. And when I go back from Vietnam to Shanghai, and I realized that things are getting worse and worse. And I remember the Spring Festival in 2020. It's just horrible. Like you can see all these TV shows on the TV, but it's not that happy because in Wuhan everything is just terrible.
Yeah, that was really bad. Yeah.
So when I see people are smiling on TV, I can't really relate to it. I was like, what the hell is this,
Yeah. Sorry for you and your family. Was everything okay?
Yeah, my family is good.
That's good.
Yeah, but I got a friend and she's from Wuhan.
Oh.
And she planned to went back to Wuhan. And she was in Changsha because Changsha is very close to Wuhan. And when she planned to go back to Wuhan and she can't find the tickets. And also her parents told her don't go back, it's terrible here. So she stayed in Changsha with no friends for 1 month. And she has been through a very hard time.
Yeah.
So for me, we just for the work, we don't really have any shows in the early 2020 because there's no artists and the COVID situation is very serious. So there's no venues going to held any events.
Gotcha.
We've been working from home for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
So
was it just planning for next year, or how could you plan for it? Because you didn't know when China was going to open and when they were going to allow people to see performances?
To be honest, there's nothing to plan at the beginning because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Everything is just, it's so uncertain.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to do something, but you don't really have a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got no plan. So we just, I'm basically just stay at home and study something that I like because I like psychology. So I just study psychology. There's not many things to do at work. And then in March, we went back to the office. There are some shows that we've been talking about, and we're trying to find some Chinese artists because that's not something that Live Nation used to connect with. Live Nation is about Western artists, bringing them from the international to China and other places. But so we don't have a very strong connection with the local artists. That's what we had to develop, to work on. So yes, I think it did have a huge impact on my work. Not only on my work, I think on my company. Yeah, and I think it's also an opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the Western artists, they're going to come back sooner or later.
Yes.
After the COVID, but develop a strong connection with local artists is always a good thing.
Right.
Make you stronger in the in this market.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did Live Nation have Green Day booked for Taiwan and for Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Because I still have a ticket waiting for Green Day in Hong Kong, and they said, no, we're not going to cancel the show. We're just going to postpone it. We're in 2022 now, and I still have my ticket in my bag, waiting for that time. Were you involved with Green Day?
No, not
No?
really.
Okay.
Because we're mostly responsible for the shows in China market.
Right.
So if Green Day is not going to China, so it's for the other offices to deal with all the stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Hope you can see the show one day.
Oh yes, maybe when I'm in my wheelchair and my cane. And I wanted to go back to Hong Kong as well. But have you been to Hong Kong? You've been to
for several times.
Yeah, right. Do you like Hong Kong?
Hong Kong is very special for me. I think that's. I went to see the XX, the British band in Hong Kong.
Right.
Yeah, and there are many, international events, concerts happening in Hong Kong, and the culture there is very different from mainland China. So going there is a bit like going abroad for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I feel like, okay, I want to take a break and experience different culture around me, I will go to Hong Kong because it's very easy for me to go there before COVID. Yeah, and also not that expensive.
Right.
I can afford it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 hours from Shanghai. Yeah.
I think just like 2 hours.
A 2 hour flight? Yeah, right. For last year as well, it says here you worked with some, pretty high-end Chinese bands and Taiwanese bands as well.
Right.
Tell us about some of the bands that you've worked with last year.
So I've been the tour manager for 2 Taiwanese bands. One is called KST. The Chinese name is 康斯坦的变化球. The second one is Fool and Idiot.
Come on.
傻子与白痴. You went to the show, right?
Yes, so I went to that show and thank you for the tickets. It was great.
It's always my pleasure.
It was just really good to see what the differences were, like in a Chinese show compared to like a Western show.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you got involved with this band in particular, Fool and Idiot.
Yes.
Taiwanese band.
So, but first of all, I'm kind of curious. How do you feel about the show? Do you like it? Like, as a Western audience, I know like your view is gonna be very different from the Chinese fan.
I met your colleague Edward.
Yes.
At the top, we were like in the top section in the VIP sort of area.
Yeah.
And he just tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "You've got earplugs in your ears. Are you a musician? And then you're not Chinese. Why are you here?" He was just very, very curious as to why I was here. And I said, "Oh, I'm friends with Carol. She gave me the tickets and I'm just very curious to see how it goes." They were very good musicians. Don't worry, the talent of the music and the musicians, great. Like the stage, I couldn't believe how big and especially here in China, how big the stages are for like a small venue. Like in Australia, if it's like a small venue, it's maybe a little, way smaller. The stage at the Modern Skylab, it is huge. It's like almost the same size as like the crowd, the floor.
Exactly.
And there was lots of area to sort of get involved, and I could just see some Western bands just.
Yes, exactly. There are many Western bands there.
Just getting into it, and some rock bands just exploring the space, but it was very, very good. It was great to speak to Edward as well because he was saying that he booked Metallica. Yeah. And, wow, when he said that, it was like ding, 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 ding again. So we had a very good chat. But it was a great night, great musicians, and I can see why they're very popular. Yeah. And the fans were crazy for them. One more, come on, come back. They wanted to... I wanted to ask, it was just a real curious question because of the name of the band.
Yeah.
Is that just because of the translation, or did they know at the start that this is Fool and Idiot?
They know what it means.
They know what it means?
Yes.
Right. So, why did they pick this? Is it just because, that looks intriguing? Fool and Idiot. What is this?
I'm not sure if I have the right interpretation, but I guess it's about, they always think like in this society we got this like full like image sometimes when we're facing to the others, and it's not always the bad thing. Sometimes it means that you are pure, like you're sincere.
Yes.
So, and I guess that's the reason why they picked this name. So like it's the like straight translation from Chinese to English.
Yes. And we were trying to meet up in Shanghai, and you said, next time I'm in Shanghai it'll be maybe 3 or 4 weeks' time. I was like, what? So you're traveling all around. So
yes, it is.
So for you, how was that sort of going on long tours, being with the band, being away from family, being away from home?
First of all, I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
Like being on tour and you're with the crew, it's there like your family members during the tour. Yeah. So you share the same memories. Like if you meet the people you really like to work with, you're going to have a great time together.
Yes.
And also, like, even if it looks difficult, I think it just makes all these memories unforgettable.
Yes.
But it is demanding and it is hard. For example, the KST tour, we've done like 27 shows in 1 month and a half. And for Fool and Idiot, we did like 18 shows in 2 months.
Wow.
So there's a lot because we're doing club shows. So it's like, okay, well, loads in and loads out at the same day. Like when the show is over, okay, we just unload it, we just put everything together and put it on the bus, and then okay, stay at a hotel for one night and then went to another city at the early morning. So definitely it's demanding for your physic, like your body. You need to be strong enough.
Yes.
And also for your mind, because you're working every day. For me as tour manager, like I need to talk to very different people, like the artists, their agents, my colleagues, and all the production team. So like everybody will come to me if they have any problems. So I need to keep fixing problems. And sometimes it's hard because I have my own limits.
Yes.
But it feels good when you are above your limit. Like you feel like you've grown up and you learned so much during this tour and having very happy memories with all the people in the tour. Yeah. I do think we're like families, but families just for 1 month. Because if we're not in the same project, we don't really have that many to talk about, that many things to talk about. We're just busy with our own stuff. But if we meet each other, we still feel this, very familiar feelings between us, and it's magical for me.
Do you have a particular story with either KST or Fool and Idiot that you're on tour and it was like, yeah?
For the KST, the day they went back to Taiwan, like me and my colleague Jonathan, we are with them because, it's time to say goodbye. Of course, you want to be there. And their bassist, he's like a cool guy, So during the whole tour, he was like, you guys are good. You are good with the job.
Yes.
But he's not someone who is very good at explaining or expressing his own feelings.
Right.
But when we say goodbye, he's like, I had an amazing time in here.
Yes.
And you guys are great. And I really want to see you next time. For me, it's very moving because he's the guy, like the kind of cool guy.
Yeah.
Not easy for him to say this. So when he said that, I know I've done something right.
It's a big compliment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. But then on the other side, you were saying that you learned a lot. So what did you learn about doing this tour? I mean, the stats says here 42 shows in 5 months. That's a lot of shows. That's a lot of cities. That's a lot of plane flights. Yeah. So what did you learn about this?
I think about communications. I learned a lot about communications because as a tour manager, your job is not only about getting things done. It's also about how to make everyone feel good. So I remember when I was in Beijing and for the Fool and Idiot show. And things like we have after the show, we still have a lot of like VIP time, signing the albums. So it took a very long time.
I saw that in Shanghai as well.
Yeah, Shanghai too. Like many girls, right?
I thought it was the lineup for like the movies, and they said no, it's for the signing of the band. It's like it was around the corner. It's like wow.
So it usually finished around like 12 a.m. So very, very, very late. So the venue in Nanjing, they're not happy with it.
Right.
They're like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I told you, I sent you the rundown, and it shows like we were finished that late. But they're like, I don't care. You need to finish it. Yeah. So at the time, I was so stressed out, because I was like, what am I gonna do? There are so many fans out there. So for me, I need to take all this stress and still communicate to them, to show them that we are trying our best to smooth everything, to get everything done as soon as possible. Yeah. But at that time, when I was really exhausted, I still feel like, okay, I got so many things to need to do. And it's not easy,
Yes.
you know. But at that time, you need to stay strong.
Yes.
And to show others that you can handle it.
Yeah.
If even if it's not okay for you anymore, but it's still like pretend you're okay.
And you're the backbone, so you're representing the band. But like you said, you're representing so many other people, and so that shows a lot of power. That shows a lot of strength. And we had Women's Day yesterday, so you're a great example. Well,
thanks.
Well done. And what were some of the crowds like? What were their reactions? And what were some of the better crowds that liked that sort of type of music in China?
So the tickets always so better in big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shenzhen.
Yes.
Because there are more people in these big cities, and the young people are more interested in live music. But actually, the crowd is not as exciting as the other cities. Especially in Shanghai, the crowd is like kind of calm.
Yeah.
They're not that exciting. We think like because people here have seen so many shows.
They're used to it.
Yeah, they're used to it. So
Yeah.
it's hard for you to surprise them. But if we're going to Zhengzhou or like Qingdao, maybe not many people there, but every fan you can see their excitement. They're like, rock, So it's very different.
Yeah, I can get that feeling as well. Just going to, I did the same, but I was with school, school English teaching.
Yes.
The village schools were like, yes, it's fantastic. Then you go to like the city, and it's like, oh, I've seen them before, whatever. But the village people, is the first time seeing a foreigner. So for me to come in with my guitar and my sunglasses, I was a big rock star to them. So yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. So are there plans to go back to doing this, or at the moment you're just sort of happy to take a bit of a break from being like a tour manager?
I'm finding the new job because I'm always happy to be the tour manager, but also I want to do something new this year. Always have some development in your career, now doing the same thing. So live entertainment is something I'm passionate about, so I'm just trying to find out if there's any possible jobs that I can do, so...
I'm sure there are, and especially when it opens back up again for the foreign bands to come in here. Yeah. That's when it's your time to shine, Carol.
Thanks.
So let's go back to where you were born. I do believe you're a local, Shanghainese.
Shanghainese.
The whole accent of the Shanghainese is just... Here I am trying to learn Mandarin, and then I get someone like a taxi driver speaking Shanghainese, and it's like, whoa, this is just... I'm struggling with Mandarin, let alone a Shanghainese accent. So what was it like growing up here in Shanghai?
I think it's really fun that you mentioned Shanghainese. Me as a young Shanghainese, I'm not very good at speaking my dialect.
Right.
Yeah. Because starting from elementary school, we're only allowed to speak Mandarin.
Right.
So we're not allowed to speak Shanghainese at school. But I spent most of time in school. Yeah. So, and also my teacher said Mandarin is something that we need to insist. Yes. So when I went back to home, my dad spoke Shanghainese to me. I was like, no, you can't say it. You should not say it. Speak Mandarin to me. Yes. My dad's like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. So, yes, when I grow up, I treasure the culture of Shanghai. So that's the reason why I want to pick up my dialect. And I think that's part of me. I should not just give it away.
Yeah. And I've spoke to some people that have lived here for quite a long time, and they've said the change of Shanghai maybe 15, 20 years ago to now is a huge change. Like the population's grown.
Yeah,
it's a lot more multicultural.
Yes.
I've heard them say it used to be called the Wild West, not really developed yet. So tell us a little bit about, from your experience of living here compared to now.
I think since I've spent most of my time in Shanghai, so I didn't really realize the changes in the city as an outsider.
Right.
But there are times, like if I spend 2 months in Dali or 3 months in Beijing, and when I go back to Shanghai, I was like, where is this restaurant? Where is the coffee shop?
Yes.
That is something that strikes me the most. The place I'm familiar with, they're just gone.
Yes.
And there's always gonna be new shops, new buildings, and the constructions.
Yes.
Because they are always building new
Always
buildings.
there, yes.
The noise, right?
The drilling.
The drilling, yes.
Oh dear.
Yes. Yes, because we got this Taiwanese band in Shanghai, they were staying in Shanghai for like 3 months or more. So they always told me that their memory of Shanghai is the drilling noise,
Yeah.
This is how they remember Shanghai.
The drilling.
Yes. So
I've never thought of it that way, but it's true.
Yeah, right? Because I think it shows that the city is always growing.
Absolutely.
Yes. But sometimes maybe you need to be away for a month, then come back to realize how big changes they are.
Yeah, going to Dali, it was a huge change to living in Shanghai for a certain period.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no Starbucks. Where's the Starbucks? Every corner has a Starbucks or a McDonald's or some sort of, all the chain restaurants and coffee shops. Yeah, you just sort of get used to it, and then it's like,
yeah.
Oh, where is it?
And also, you remind me that when I just leaving Dali and went back to Shanghai, and I'm not really get used to Shanghai, which is so weird, because when I was in a coffee shop, I was always smiling and trying to talk to people, and they are too busy to talk to you.
Yes.
And because it's so different from Dali. Like in Dali, everyone can talk. You know, they are willing to make friends. But in Shanghai, people are just too busy with their own stuff. And since like in Shanghai, you also meet so many people every day.
Yes.
You can't really spend energy on strangers.
Yes.
So yeah.
And that's why you liked it so much, getting back to what we were speaking before.
Yeah.
You could see how much you really enjoyed
Dali.
being in Dali, because Shanghai is so fast-paced, and you're always on your toes, and then all of a sudden Dali, and it's like, relax. Peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about like your parents. Are they involved with entertainment or music, or what's their background?
Actually, not at all. They're not, and their jobs are not related to art or anything.
Okay.
So my dad, he's doing something about like chemistry.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but like when he grew up, he was poor. Living not living in a wealthy family. So when he's an adult, he had to find a job to support himself, and he didn't have the chance to explore things about art, because art is for rich people.
Yes.
So when I was born, he wanted to put money, he wanted me to do things about art, so I practiced ballet when I was in kindergarten, and I played flute for 4 years from middle school to high school. And I realized that I'm not going to be an artist because I'm not talented enough. In classical music world, the competition is just, incredible,
Yes.
So it's very hard for you to stand out. I realized that. I know I'm kind of talented, but not talented enough. And also I'm not hardworking enough.
Right.
Yes. But I always wanted to be in the art industry.
Right.
And that's the reason why I was in Shanghai Conservatory of Music, but I'm majoring in arts management.
Yes.
So I can do things about art, like assisting or helping artists to fulfill their dreams and not be away from this industry,
Yeah. I see kids very, very young. I've seen all different ages in schooling here in China. And I don't think people outside of China understand how stressful it is for parents, for their kids to find a job, to get university.
Yes.
And they just push. And I've got kids at the moment that are 4 and 5 years old. And one day it's guitar, one day it's dancing, one day it's swimming, one day it's yoga, one day it's soccer, one day it's archery, one day... And it's like, you're 4 years old.
Yeah, I know.
I've totally seen such a big change. So for you, was there a lot of pressure from your mum and dad to sort of be successful? And then were they pushing you to do... not only music, but with your studies as well?
I can feel the pressure for sure. As a Chinese, you always feel the pressure.
Yes.
But I think the competitions at my time is not that strong compared to nowadays.
Right.
So I'm still capable of handling it. That's the reason why I can play flute and other instruments. I'm very grateful for my parents for supporting me to study arts management because this major is something that is quite strange to them. Even to our teachers in high school, they're like, why are you signing up for this? Because it's not a very traditional road, But I was like, this is something I like. Maybe you don't know about it, but I did my research, I did my study. Mm-hmm. And I know this is something I want to learn. So I'm glad that my dad support my dream. Mm-hmm. And when I finally got accepted by Shanghai Conservatory of Music, he's also very happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And once again, I can totally relate to that.
Thanks.
So how was that process of getting into this Shanghai Conservatory of Music, majoring in arts management? Was it difficult to get enrolled into this course?
I think it's hard, but it's not that hard. So we don't have to show any music skills to them. Just, to do all the tests. Like do you know what 高考? Like the Chinese version of SAT.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So if you can reach the score, you're admitted. So yeah, that's basically it. So like if you're doing well at school, you can just go into the university.
After that, it says you've done also internships as well.
Yes.
So interning for the National Arts Centre in Canada.
Yes.
Tell us about going to Canada.
I love Canada.
Was this your first overseas trip?
Not the first time overseas, but it's my first exchange program.
Right.
Yes. So...
where in Canada did you study?
Ottawa.
Ottawa?
Yes.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah. Shanghai Conservatory of Music, my school, they have this exchange program with National Arts Center in Ottawa. Like, not only our school, like there are many, like 3 or 4 art schools in China. They can, just show, they can have a few candidates. And then the people in the art center, they will do the interview and select the appropriate candidates, and then do the exchange program.
Right. And
the cool part is that we are not we are staying with the host family.
Right.
And it is for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we got a chance to stay with the local family. They will show us out, experience the local culture. And also, we got a lot of concerts that we can go to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What are some of the concerts you went to?
Isaac Pullman.
All right, yes.
Yes, because, it's all about classical music.
Right.
And also, since it's it's an exchange program. So we got a chance to talk to the senior management, like face to face during the interview, a little bit like this.
Very cool.
Actually, my essay, I write an essay about this art center. So yes, learned a lot from there.
And living in Ottawa, I would assume that it's super cold.
Super cold.
So you said Beijing was cold. So what about Ottawa?
Even colder, of course. I remember because we were traveling in Quebec.
Right.
And it's about -40. Yes. And it's like the coldest weather in recent 50 years.
Wow.
Lucky us. And also I took a train trip from Toronto to Vancouver, which will take 7 days.
Wow.
So I spent 7 days on the train, met a lot of friends, which is really nice. And also because of the cold weather, so the staff need to fix the train, from time to time. So the trip is kind of like delayed.
Yeah.
Like 2 days delayed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, right. Frozen.
Frozen, yes.
Wow. I've been to Vancouver, but that's it. Is Ottawa French speaking?
Bilingual.
Bilingual?
Yes, because
right.
Ottawa is the capital of Canada.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's bilingual.
Oh, so French
And English.
and English. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Like all the volunteers in Art Center, the young people, they're all bilingual.
Right. So how was your English at the time?
Not bad.
Okay.
But sometimes it's kind of difficult for me to use my English at work, because if there is something professional to say. And also we need to do some presentations.
Right.
So still need to practice the English. And also I haven't been in this kind of environment before, living with the host family, which are all, very kind Canadian people. And people I work with, they're all Canadians.
Right.
They only speak English.
Yeah, right.
So you're speaking English all the time. So it's like a challenge for me for the first month. And also I'm away from home.
Yeah.
And
so what did you think about the cultural differences between an Ottawa family compared to your family here in Shanghai?
Let me tell you, like the first month in Canada, I'm not really used to it. Like I'm crying to my dad,
Oh, really?
FaceTime like that. And my dad was like, "What's wrong?" Because he's at work,
Right.
The reason why I was crying is because I'm afraid that people don't like me. In Canada, everyone is very nice. I think Canadians are famous for being nice.
Yes.
So
a bit too nice.
yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about anything, they're only talking about the good part. Like, how's the show? They will say, "Oh, it's amazing,"
Right.
Well, as a Chinese, I'm someone who wants to know the real thoughts.
Yes.
What do you think of it? What do you think of it? Not just like all the praises,
You want some constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, when I meet people, I'm being nice, and they're being nice to me, but I don't really think we're friends. They don't really have to make a Chinese friends, of course, and I feel a little bit distant from them.
Yes.
And that's kind of the reason why I cry and call my dad, because I think, okay, I'm not really making any friends except for my mentor or host families, but I really want to have, like young friends.
Yes, yes.
And I'm not sure if it's something about me or it's the culture. I'm confused. Then I realized that it's just because like we're not close enough. I stayed there for 3 months. And for last month, like I'm close with some friends and they will tell me their real thoughts. So at the time, I'm not worried about it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's the cultural difference. Like we have very different communication styles.
Yes.
So of course I'll be confused at the beginning, but it's like a challenge I need to overcome.
Yeah.
And when I overcome this challenge, I enjoy my days more, in Canada, because people are nice, the experiences are nice. You got to see some really good shows and have a very nice host families.
Yeah, and then you've got friends for the rest of your life. You go to Canada whenever you want to go.
You can always write an email, Facebook Messenger them. Yeah.
Come to China as well.
Yeah.
Get them to come. What did you back to your family side? I'm always very interested because me coming from Australia, it was a bit like you going to Ottawa. It's very similar. It was such a huge culture shock, and you just have to get used to it. Otherwise, you go home.
Yeah, exactly.
So I met some girls, and they just want to get married and have children straight away because apparently their mum and dad and their grandparents are like, you need to get married at a certain age. Otherwise, wanted to know how your family sort of reacts to that. Do they
relationship or marriage?
Yeah, they push.
My dad, he's in the middle of it. He got this stress because all his friends, colleagues' daughter, they are getting married, but I'm not, apparently. Yeah. But he also don't want to put any pressure on me.
Yes.
And I think I got this very special relationship with my dad. We are very close, but sometimes I just don't talk to him about some stuff. For example, if I'm in a relationship, I won't tell him. I know in many Western families, their children will tell their parents about their past relationships, but I don't really do that to my dad because I know he will take it too seriously. Yeah. So I just choose to keep it as a secret.
Find him on WeChat and
yeah, but a funny thing happened because last Sunday I broke up with my boyfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, so
sorry.
That's all right. Apparently, I'm sad. I'm crying in my bedroom. I didn't want my dad to find out. But next day when I wake up, my dad, see me, the eyes, everything. It's obviously there's something wrong with me. Yes. Yeah. He was like, "What's wrong? You can tell me everything because I'm your dad and I really care about you," which made me feel so moved. And I told him about the breakup story, and he was like, "Are you serious about this relationship?" I was like, "I'm not sure because I've been with this guy for 4 months. And we broke up due to a long distance relationship. He was in Taiwan. And I was like, I'm still trying to know him. So I'm not sure if I'm really into him." He was like, "If you're into him, you want to marry him. Because that's what serious relationship is about." I was like, "Dad, it's not for me, I really like someone. It doesn't mean that I want to marry them."
Yes.
So at the time, I realized I still have this gap between me and my dad. He still want me to maybe get married.
Yes.
And he just don't want to put so much pressure on me.
Yes. And what about your mom?
Oh. So, my mom died when I was 8.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So I live with my dad.
Okay.
Yes. That's just part of my life. So I'm totally fine, totally cool with this. Of course.
Then, you must have you said before you have a very close relationship with your father.
Yes.
How was that like? Because my mum and dad were divorced, but for you, growing up, wanting that mum, did your dad remarry? Did he have a girlfriend, or did he have someone else to sort of have that female figure to go and see you, or did you rely on your friends to help you out in hard times?
So, my mom died when I was 8 due to cancer. So, for me, I always know she's ill, and I went to hospital to see her, but I was not there when she passed away. And my dad and my other family members, they think I'm too young.
Yes.
So they just made a white lie. They told me that she got this treatment in Spain. For me, as an 8-year-old girl, Spain is somewhere really, really far. So they told me that you can't really see her because she's far away, but when she's cured, she will be back. I think deep inside my heart, I always know it's not the truth. but I choose to believe it because it will make me feel better.
Yes.
And when I grew up, like around middle school, and my dad told me the truth, and I'm not surprised at all. And I think at first I'm kind of afraid of what other people think of me, as the girl who lost her mom.
Yes.
Because we're living in the neighborhood, and all the neighbors know each other.
Yes.
So they will show their compassion, but sometimes it makes me feel uncomfortable. They will say like, "Hey, how are you? How's your dad?" And they will tell others, "You see, this is a very strong girl. She's the girl who lost her mom." To be honest, I don't really want to hear this.
Yeah.
This is not a bad thing to say.
Yeah, exactly.
But they think they're showing their care, and I appreciate it.
Yes. But you don't want to hear that all the time because everyone's going to come up. Yeah, I can tell. I understand.
Yeah. So, but I never think like I'm lack of love or something because my dad, he put so much love and efforts on raising me up, and I do appreciate it.
Yes, there's a lot of respect there.
Yes. I think it's important to reach some career goals, doing whatever you want in your life. But I think it's really hard and to treat the people you love with all your heart and spend so much effort and energies to treat the people you love and to love your family, to take all your responsibilities. Because he need to take he spent so much time on bringing me up. He didn't put so much time on his career. So he didn't get a promotion in a long time.
Yes.
But I think he's willing to make this sacrifice.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and my dad has got a girlfriend, which I'm really happy about.
Great.
Yes, and it's his college friend.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
even
they
better.
Wow. So they know each other for a very long
Yeah.
time. And the reason why I'm so happy for him is that I think, he finally found a companion he deserved in his family. And I can go out and, pursue my own dreams. If I just leave my dad alone in the home, it's very hard for me to go to Delhi or Beijing.
Yes.
I was like, is it the right thing to do? Because it didn't feel right. But now I'm kind of...
happy that he's got someone else.
Yes, I'm really happy.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the other internship that you did.
Yes.
It also says here that the biggest sort of for rock bands and metal bands, and which is my sort of genre, Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Yes.
Just down the road, near the Bund.
Yes.
Near the river.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about this. I mean, you have all the entertainment going through there, so tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so after I went back from Canada, so I started to find an internship in Mercedes-Benz Arena. Actually, I have applied for this internship before, but my school time didn't fit. So they say, okay, try next time. I was like, okay, yeah, that's my last year of school. Of course, I'm gonna try this internship again. Yeah. And luckily, they accept me as the intern. So the work there is not that busy for me because there are not many things to do for an intern. But I really, what I appreciate about this internship is that I get to see so many great shows. Bruno Mars.
Yeah, come on.
Yes, Bruno Mars. And
wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. 3 shows in a row.
Wow.
Yes. And also, Jay Chou.
Yes?
Yeah, Jay Chou and JJ Lin.
Oh.
All superstars.
Yeah.
I got to see the shows without tickets.
Wow.
I got a staff pass.
Ah.
Yeah.
So cool.
And, not only I got to see the show, I can see the process of putting all the shows together.
Right.
And I realized how exciting that is. From, like starting from the very empty arena, you know, have nothingness. Then, you know, all the workers come in, the crew came in, and they put everything together, doing the sound check, the light checks, and the artists on, doing all the rehearsals, and boom, it's showtime.
Wow, yeah.
Yes. And see all this process, I know there's so much effort behind one show.
Yeah.
But the energy is just incredible, you know.
Yes. That whole feeling of going to a live show to see your favorite band. There's nothing better. There's nothing better.
You know, and also the arena shows, it's different from club shows.
Of course, yeah.
You know, because there are more efforts in that. And, you know, the staging and
more
all
people.
the crowds.
Yeah.
You know, the energy is just, you know, way better, to be honest.
3 shows of Bruno Mars. Wow.
Yeah.
So, did he change the setup every night, or did he play the same?
Play the same.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess Shanghai's got 25 million people, so I guess he's got a lot of performance. Wow, 3 shows. That's really cool. Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Yeah.
All my favorite bands have been there, and I even watched the wrestling there, of all things.
Oh yes. UFC?
WWE. Yeah. So I've been there twice to see the WWE there, and the first time it was John Cena. He was the headline, and he come out and did a speech in Mandarin.
Wow.
Yeah, he'd come out and thank the crowd for coming and supporting him and supporting his movies, and all in Mandarin. And apparently my friend said that it was fluent Chinese. I was like, that's really cool. And the fans loved it. Yeah. So you did part-time work with MAO Livehouse as well.
Yes. It's my first part-time job.
Right. So tell us about this. What was the process? Was it difficult to get this job? Again, you would have seen a bunch of bands coming through there, MAO Livehouse in Shanghai. There's more than one, right?
One in Shanghai, but in other cities, they also have their own
Right.
livehouse.
So I was lucky to play there. I've already played there already.
Cool.
There wasn't as many people but the whole experience of, again, the stage is just these
very
Chinese
high and wide.
The Chinese stage is just what was your experiences working with the MAO Livehouse?
Yeah. So before I was the stagehand there, I went to see so many shows because I was into indie music.
Right.
You know, like post-rock. Post-rock is a hit at the time. So I think, oh my gosh, it's going to be so cool to work there. And I see one WeChat post that they're hiring part-time stagehand. I think I'm going to give it a try. You know?
Yeah.
So they did the interview. They think I'm good for the job. Yeah. And then, I just start my 1-year stagehand, career.
Wow.
So I think the job is really fun. It's the first time for me to have these interactions with artists and band. Before that, I was just the audience.
Right.
And also, stagehand, you're very close to the artists, especially if there are some bands you love. It's gonna be it's a great opportunity for you to communicate. Yeah. But the hard part is that since I'm not playing guitar, bass, drum, any of these kind of instruments, so it's not easy for me to, learn all this technical stuff, how to adjust the volumes. If there's if the guitar is not making any sound, you need to check which part went wrong. And that's the intense part for me, especially if there is a show going on. I was like, well, I don't know.
The battery, the lead, the amps,
And you need to know how to set up the drum for the artists. And during the rehearsal, you need to assist them if there's anything feel uncomfortable, anything didn't feel right. Right. And after the show, which is already pretty late, we need to put everything to normal to where it first, we need to put things back. So after we usually went off work around 2 a.m. In the morning. Wow. So it takes a very long time to work. and feel exhausted every time when I go back home. But I was also very excited, because I know I'm not going to be doing this for a very long time, but it's a very important step for me to go into music industry.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to start from somewhere, and I think that's the best way to do it. Go right from the ground up.
Yes,
just seeing
exactly.
people, the road crew,
Yes.
the other managers, the bands, how they put on a show. I think that's really, really cool. So what bands did you see? Chinese bands mainly?
Actually, many Western bands.
Right.
But mainly about like metal.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you know Dragon Force.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, Dragon
Of course.
Force and Lacrimosa.
Arch Enemy.
Oh, yeah, I know Arch Enemy.
Yeah! Walking to the show, couldn't find where it was, where the maps were. And anyway, there was a girl and 4 guys, and we all went up into the lift. And it's like, that was the band. We're going up the lift to the Livehouse, and the band, we were with the band.
Yeah.
And we got off on the backstage part of it. So we went there as well, and it's like, hey, you're not allowed to do it. Security was kicking us out. So, but yeah, they're great. Yeah, I've seen them in Australia, and they got a new singer now. But yeah, they were
Arch Enemy, cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I know they are popular in China.
Oh yeah, it was sold out. Yeah, it was a good crowd there. For you personally, what music were you listening to when you were in high school, and then some of your favorite bands during that period?
I think I'm now stuck with one genre. Like I listen to many different genres of music. When I was in high school, I was into like Western pop music or like band, like Lady Gaga, of course, and Ariana Grande. When I was in Canada, I'm more into classical music.
Right.
Of course, because you saw these concerts, these musicians with excellent skills,
They're brilliant, aren't they?
Yeah, and
They're so talented.
Yes, and classical music is very different from pop music.
Yes.
It requires like more performing skills, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yes, and when I was in Live Nation, because we're doing the pop music concerts, so I listen to these artists and also bands. Now, I've been the tour manager for 2 Taiwanese bands, so I'm listening to a lot of Taiwanese indie bands. So it varies from time to time.
Yes. That's really cool. So it says, after graduating from the university, you joined Live Nation. How long did you wait? Did you have like a break after university? Did you go somewhere, or did you go straight into work?
Okay, so I took like a 1 month break.
Okay.
Like 1 month gap for me.
Yeah.
And I went to Fuji Rock in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So who was playing that show?
Oh, Kendrick Lamar.
Oh.
Yes. And I saw one of my favorite bands, MGMT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I know them as well. Yeah.
So, Fuji Rock is an unforgettable experience, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Especially because now we're in the COVID time. So going abroad to see a music festival seems, so far away from us. Yeah.
Wow. And did you get a chance to stay in Japan and do some traveling around, or was it just for the concert?
Stayed in Japan for 2 weeks.
Oh,
so
nice.
The first week I was with my family. So we just stayed in Tokyo to doing some tourist stuff. But Tokyo is fun and full of energy. There are so many places you can go to.
Oh, yes.
And next week I'm just going to Fuji Rock. I went to Fuji Rock with friends, and then back to Tokyo and fly to Shanghai. But since Fuji Rock is in the mountain, it's like very hipster vibe, mountain and
Camping. Yeah.
camping. Yes. Yeah. So after my Fuji trip, and I went back to Tokyo. I just think, oh my god, the city is so crowded and noisy. Like I can't really get used to it.
Yeah.
Because it's Tokyo.
Yeah, Live Nation. So how was that process? A couple of interviews? Did you have to? How did you get this job?
So when I was in Mercedes-Benz Arena, Live Nation will put many shows in this arena, including Bruno Mars.
Oh, nice.
Yes, it's promoted by Live Nation. So, like my mentor, he got this connection with Live Nation, and I noticed that they're hiring events assistant. So I just talked to him like, hey, can you please do an internal referral for me? I think I'll have a better chance to get a job than just, throwing my resume to HR. Yes, he's very nice and did this favor for me. And after 2 rounds of interview, I got this job.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You would have been so excited, right?
Yeah, very excited.
That's so cool. And it says that you worked here for you worked for 3 years there?
Yeah, almost 3 years. Yeah. From 2018 to 2021.
Right.
Yes.
Did you get an opportunity to meet some of these big rock stars from internationally?
So, yes, Live Nation has hosted many big concerts, but at the time I was working as event assistant.
Right.
So I'm just doing the basic operations job. The event manager, they will be responsible for communicating with the crew or the agent to fulfill their needs. So for me, it's more like it's a process of learning to see and to learn how do they communicate with these, all these stars.
Rock stars.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm always interested to ask about the Shanghai music scene. Have you seen any sort of changes, with Shanghai music?
I think for me, I've noticed that there are more and more young people that are into live music. So when I was in the university, there are a group of people who always love music and will pay the money to see live shows. And I think there is a big crowd of them, but it's not that many. But now, since there are TV shows about bands, so many people who are not very familiar with this band culture, they get interested and they want to see these bands play live music, and they're willing to pay for it. And also the ticket price is crazy.
Yes.
Because people are willing to pay more. They know that live music is not like movies.
Yes.
Artists are actually there, and the energy, the interactions is very different.
Yeah.
So of course the price is higher, but definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking, as I was saying before, when I went to the show, I met your colleague Edward, and he said that he was working with Metallica, and we were talking about that before, about they weren't able to play a couple of songs because of the censorship in China. So is it difficult to get bands to come to China? Are they put off from some of that? Because
so it's just my own opinion.
Sure.
Yes, there is censorship in China for sure, and for some artists who are not able to come here, maybe it's because they're something related to politics.
Yeah,
it's very complicated.
That's understandable, and you got to respect each country that you perform in. So
so all this government staff, they can go online, they can do some background check. So it's impossible for us to lie to them, say okay,
of course,
So we will pick those safe artists.
Yeah,
and also just like what we've mentioned about, we need to submit all the materials, including their lyrics and all the soundtracks, and the agents, they're aware of it. So they will send us all these official documents.
Right.
We will translate that to Chinese, both English and Chinese, to the government. And if they're okay with all the materials, yes, you got this, we call it permits.
Right.
And it's okay for you to put on a show and sell it.
Yeah. Well, it was very interesting because that the Metallica thing, but when they weren't allowed to play one of their biggest songs, but obviously they've got a big catalogue, but when they went to Beijing,
yes,
they played with Lang Lang. I make a reference to the Queen movie that came out a couple of years ago. So winning all these Oscars, and then all of a sudden China said, yes, we're going to show this movie. And then all of a sudden I hop into a DD and they're playing Queen on the radio now.
That's cool.
And they think it's sort of like a new band, but the band's 50 years old. But I always say sort of better late than never, and I think it's great that China have got on board with Queen.
But do you know, like Queen and Adam Lambert, they
Yes.
actually had a show in Shanghai.
Did they?
Yeah, in Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I guess, like, for example, like We Will Rock You or like We're the Champions, these songs are very like familiar.
Classic rock.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah.
Even for Chinese people, but maybe they just don't know the band.
Yes.
And after the movie came out, they can relate, you know,
Yes.
right? The
Yes.
song and the band, and they know the stories of this band, which is really cool.
It's a great selling point for the band
Yeah.
that they brought that out, because I think that they've sold many records now here in China, which is great. Any new bands in China or anywhere in particular that you like at the moment? Like any like brand new bands?
There is a Taiwanese band called Sofa. So Soulfa. So Sofa.
All right.
Okay. They're from Taiwan, and hopefully they'll get to tour in mainland China this year. Hopefully. Yes. The reason why I love their music is their music is not complicated, but it's straightforward, and they're very energetic, very young, energetic, with big smiles, that kind of boys singing songs. It just makes you feel happy. And
because if I have one criticism about the Chinese bands that I've seen here in Shanghai, like the local, like the indie sort of bands, is that they're playing this great music and it's really good to hear, but to see, they're just like playing their instruments and there's just no energy. They're relying just on the music, but to look at, they're just standing there. And for me, if I see bands that just stand there, it's just like, it's not for me. If they're not feeling it, how am I going to feel it,
Totally get what you're talking about.
So that's what I've seen. And not every band, but I've seen certain bands that have done that. So that's great to hear. And also with the Taiwanese band, it seems like the two bands that you worked with, and you've talked about now a new band from Taiwan, is that sort of a new occurrence that more Taiwanese bands are sort of getting popular here in mainland China?
Yes, I think in the recent years, Taiwanese music is popular.
That's right.
Especially indie music.
Right.
Because they've got their own style. To be honest, for me, like you mentioned about the local music in Shanghai. What I think is that, they play some fancy music. They're skillful.
Yes.
They want to do something international. But from their music, I can't really see who they are. They can be anyone.
Yes.
They can be a guy in Australia. They can be a guy in Canada. Why you're a guy in Shanghai? It tells no difference. So some Taiwanese music, they're not that complicated, but they tells you who they are.
Right.
And after listening to their music, you got this impression And I think it's very important. You can't just let people forget about who you are. You gotta let them to remember who you are.
Yes.
So things like many Taiwanese bands, they got their own style that can be recognized, and that's the reason why they're popular in China.
That's great. That's really, really cool. It says you've got some concerts that you've been to. Charlie Puth.
In Live Nation?
Yeah. Mariah Carey.
Yes.
Wow.
This is before COVID.
Right. Mariah. How popular is she in China? I'm assuming she's huge.
Yes.
Like just like
she's
everywhere else, yeah?
Her tickets just sold out immediately.
Wow. And like you said, they can charge like a high price, and it doesn't matter if you want to watch your favorite singers and musicians, you'll pay that.
Because the audience know that it's such a precious opportunity for them to see this huge star. You don't know like when's next time they will come to China, especially we're in the COVID.
That's so true.
So I think like just go to see your favorite shows where you can.
Yes.
You don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, that's right. Last year where we met and you did the 2 tours, which was an amazing... do you miss it now?
Kind of miss it.
Yeah? You getting that itch on your back that you want to...
like after I did these 2 tours, because, it's these two tours, they are very close. The dates are very close. So I just got like 2 weeks of relaxing myself, 2 weeks of break. So like after this January, I finished all my work. I think, okay, I'm not gonna be on tour this year. I don't want myself to be that exhausted. And also, one thing that is not that ideal about being on tour is that all this daily routine you have cultivated for yourself, that's all gone. Yeah. I want to do, yoga every day, meditation, reading books, doing journaling. No, nothing. You just want to go back to your bed and sleep.
Yeah.
Because you have such a busy schedule. So I think, okay, I want to go back to a normal life and just, have a good rest. But now I started to miss the feeling of being on the road.
Yes,
all this
it's
excitement.
So true. It's so true.
And also you can be so focused on your work. Because when you're at office, you can't be that focused.
Yeah.
Because it's so different from being at the venue, and see all these, rehearsals, watching for all these things happening. It's just different.
Yeah. I can see your excitement already.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a matter of time before you get back onto the touring side of it. So
yeah, also there are times I think I'm not really into performances anymore because I've seen so many shows. In such short period of time. Yeah. But now I know I really miss it.
Yeah.
Not only the club shows, but more for the arena shows, all these big shows. I really miss it. I really want to put the shows together to see it happening, to see all this audience show up to see one show together.
Yes. Have you ever thought of doing like something in the future, like your own company?
I'm welcoming to all the opportunities. So maybe other companies about live entertainment. I'm very willing to know more about it. I think I'm too young to start my own company. So yeah, maybe working for someone else, have a very good teammate.
Of course. Yes.
That's my goal for this year.
Right. So my next question: what's the future hold for Carol?
First of all, I want to be in the music industry,
of course,
or live entertainment, not limited to music, but I want to see things happening. Not only staying at office. It's not something for me. And also, I want myself to be devoted to what I'm doing. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do this year.
Yes.
But I think anything that I pick to work on, I want to do it with my efforts, with my full heart, and it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So, and also I want to learn from all these works I've done.
Yeah.
So it's always important to have a growth mindset, I think.
Yeah.
So keep growing, I think failures, they're not that bad.
You got to take it you're learning.
Yes, it's...
Learn from that experience that failed.
Yes, and it's not easy to accept, for sure. At that time, you have self-doubt. You think you're not good enough, especially, for example, I'm taking the job interview. I think, okay, I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
But then told me, sorry, you didn't pass to the next interview. Of course, I feel sad. I'm upset about it. But that's just one small challenge in my life. And I think there are going to be more and more challenges. And I want myself to be more open and exciting for it instead of afraid of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great answer.
Thanks.
And tell us about, I know you only have like a small experience, but it's been great. So what advice would you give to a younger person that wants to do what you're doing?
I think you need to be sure that you are really into this industry. Because to be honest,
it's tough.
Yeah. First of all, the salary is not gonna be as high as the art industry. I know, it's not good to talk about salary as the first statement, but I think it's important.
Yeah, it is.
Because many people who worked in this industry go for another job because the salary is just not satisfying. So you do need to be passionate, especially for junior level worker. Also, I think if you're building a career, money is not something you want to only consider about. Money is important, but what do you want to do? What's your skill? What are you good at? You need to be very clear about it and doing something you're good at.
Yes.
Always people say you need to learn, you need to face your disadvantages. But for me, if you're doing something you're good at, you'll be more and more confident.
Yes.
And even if you're doing something you're good at, there'll still be challenges. So you're still gonna fail.
Yes.
So don't destroy your own confidence.
Yes,
it takes a very long time to cultivate.
Yes, of course.
So just pick your battlefield, but pick it smart.
Yes. Tell us about your social media. Where can we find you for Chinese, mainland China, and for international people? Where can they follow you?
Instagram,
yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So we got to the last part of it. Your top 2 or 3 favorite things. So first question is, tell me your 3 all-time favorite bands.
The first one comes to my mind is FKJ.
Okay.
I was really into his music and his live video. It's just amazing. He shot all these live video at his own place with all these plants around him.
Yeah, right.
That's my ideal place to live. The reason why I was really into his music is because I can feel the freedom. It's so hard to feel freedom in one's music.
Yes.
And you can see that he's playing music. It's like a toy. It's just like what you mentioned, all these Shanghainese band, they're not showing anything while they are playing.
Emotion, yeah.
FKJ, you can see he's having fun, so much fun.
Yes.
Just like a kid having so much fun with his toys.
Yes.
So that's something that really touching to me. And the second band is the XX.
All right.
Yes. And the third one is an electronic music duo called Odessa.
Right.
I saw their performance in Fuji Rock, and it's just amazing, mind-blowing. All the stage set, and they expect that electronic music can do everything like this way.
Right.
So it's mind-blowing to me.
That's so cool. Tell us about your top 3 international destinations that you've been to, and then 3 that you would like to go to in the future.
So, of course, Ottawa, we mentioned, Melbourne, actually.
Oh!
Yeah, I went to Australia for my Christmas break 1 year.
You tell us over an hour into the interview that you've been to Australia, and I forgot.
Yes, I've been to Melbourne and Tasmania.
Wow, that's really...
Tassie.
Tell me that, Tasmania. Right.
Yeah, because I got a friend in Tassie. You know,
Right.
Here are some Chinese, you know. So, yeah.
Hello to our Tasmanian listeners. Hello.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course.
Wow. Yeah, of course I love Melbourne. Actually, the reason why I went to Melbourne is that I saw a magazine about coffee called Drift. So they'll have like each issue is about one city that's specializing in coffee. So they've done like Melbourne, of course, because Melbourne is famous for coffee, and Mexico City. You know, so I'm a big coffee lover. So that's the big reason for me to go to Melbourne.
Right, that's lovely.
And also the third city is Ho Chi Minh City.
Oh, right.
Yes, I love Ho Chi Minh.
Me too. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And 3 places that you'd like to go to in the future?
Yes, New York City, and the second one is Mexico City.
Wow. That's something that I don't hear too often. Why Mexico City? Coffee.
First coffee, and then because to me it's something I'm so unfamiliar with. You know, like you don't really get to know Mexican culture except for food.
Yeah.
In China,
Yeah.
taco, you know, quesadilla. But I'm someone who's really into exploring something I don't know. So if I'm not familiar with Mexico City, I really want to be there.
Right.
And if we got a big culture shock, that's good, you know.
There should be more people like you on how you look at a different country. Tell me 3 of your favorite movies.
I'm a big fan of Woody Allen.
Oh, yes.
So, like Annie Hall,
Oh,
Midnight in Paris.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So another movie is Interstellar.
Oh, yes.
Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
I think, for example, like Annie Hall. I always like, you know, Woody Allen style of, you know, like keep talking
Yeah.
non-stop. And the scripts, I think it's really beautiful, and it's about relationship. And there is one sentence, he said, like, the relationship is like a shark. If it's not moving, it dies.
That's true.
That's really true.
Yeah.
So there are many, you know, these sentences like this.
Metaphors, yeah.
The metaphors,
Right.
yes, exactly. So I was like, oh, that's really smart.
Yeah.
I never think of it. But when he said it, it's like, oh, so true. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So
Right,
these
cool.
are my favorites.
Final question. Who's your greatest inspiration / hero and why?
The answer is still my dad.
Yeah.
What I've learned from him is that it's hard for one to be responsible and takes great courage. You need to give up a lot of things. You know, it's not easy for human people to give up. You know, you always want more. You got all these desires. So when you are willing to give up things you love, just for example, like your career, just for your family, I think you're worth all this respect from you. So for me, of course, now I'm pursuing my dream, my career. It's something that I'm interested in. But if one day he really needs me to be back with him, maybe like he's in hospital or he's ill or he's too old, I'm willing to give up everything for him, to be there for him. Because like wealth or career, you can always get it back if you got all these skills. Maybe it's not that easy when you're old, but you can get it if you want. But your time with the family, it's so limited. When it's gone, it's just gone. So for me, just treasure every moment with my family. It's very important.
Makes me want to go home now.
That's okay.
Makes me want to get the next plane out of Shanghai. Carol, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Craig.
I love your passion for music, and meeting you and Dali, it was bright personality. I think you've got a lot of career ahead of you in the music industry. I'll be there to support you. Tell me about your bands. I'll come and watch them play.
Thank you, Craig.